Off-the-shelf firepower. A game of man-to-man squad tactics. Avalon Hill. So I restarted the basic game scenario. Restarted. Forces are moving against each other already. Second turn over here. Yeah, don't I feel foolish? I was wondering, reading through the basic game rules folder, I kept seeing these references to the standard terrain identification chart and references to the the basic game movement factor expenditure chart, etc. And I looked all over, didn't find them. I didn't let it stop me. I just kept playing, but the grognards out there were probably yelling at the screen saying, "It's right there! It's right there!" Yeah, I had this play aid card with the offboard. The offboard card with the turn record. I had this one underneath the plastic and underneath the map boards in the previous game, in the first game, and I didn't realize that on the back of the sheet was the actual basic game and the standard terrain identification chart. So there they are. So they do come in the game. They're right there. I just didn't realize that I had buried them. So I made a photocopy so I could put the turn record there, and still. So this is the original game supplied play aid. So these are what I was talking about, what I was reading about earlier. Basic game movement factor expenditure chart with the basic game actions, basic game firing charts with the rate, even the rate of fire and the range bands for the basic game firing modifiers, rate of fire example, and the standard terrain identification chart. So that helps. So there it is. So this is, so you can play with map boards 1 and 2, the units, this one sheet of basic game charts and tables, and terrain there, and the basic game rules folder. Okay, so that all makes sense. So firing is already underway. This unit up here is prone. So this is the top of the unit counter. So oriented the same way. The P means the soldier is prone and the soldier is suppressed. Prone and suppressed. Over here I might have overthought myself. I don't think that these apply. I was thinking about something else. So to correct myself, I'm just going to remove them. But the light machine gun soldier there, soldier with the light machine gun is prone. Yeah, tree. I think in the advanced game, I'm going to indicate on which side of the tree the soldier is, but not in the basic game. These guys are in the depression, and this, I need to move these guys because of what I misinterpreted about depression. So I'm just going to move them to the next hex that allowed them to fire at the soldier that's prone on the rise that I just showed. Now, one thing I'm learning, even from this little playthrough, is because all soldiers, I think all soldiers at all times have that arc of fire, which is quite narrow actually. So it goes out here and out here. Because of that, I'm thinking now, I mean, on the one hand, I think when you stop, I think you always want to, well, I shouldn't say always, but it seems to me that you're going to want to spread out your fire. Like that maybe, to cover. So you're covering these hexes, you're covering these hexes, and you're covering these hexes. Sounds good. But then that's going to really slow you down, because when you want to move again, units can only move into the hex they're facing. So for example, yeah, actually I will use this example. So if this stack, I can activate this stack with one, impulse. Actually, I'm not sure it's called activation, but I can use an impulse for this hex. If I want the group to move out this way, in this direction, this soldier with the pistol is going to pay a movement point to orient back to the front, and this one is 2. So they will have already spent 2, and then they're going to spend like 2 or 1. I mean 1, and then 2, and I think I can do that. Yeah, so this is why I think I can do that. It says the actions of an impulse may be performed in any desired order by the controlling player. If a stack of soldiers, like this one, where am I? If a stack of soldiers is used for an impulse, like this example here, the controlling player may perform their individual actions in any desired order, even expending some movement factors for one soldier, then some for another, then back to the first soldier, etc. Being careful not to exceed the 4 movement factors allowed with any one soldier. So that's why I think that I'm discounting the depression, okay? But I'm discounting the depression, but 2 of the soldiers are using a movement factor to basically straighten out, and then the stack as a whole can go 2. I mean, of course, the first soldier has only spent 1 now, but the stack as a whole, it could go like that, so 2, 3, 4. Or, actually, they could stop short at 2 and 3, and then they could orient again. Orient again to cover. So that basically, in effect, halved their moves. Halved their movement. Which you would call that a more cautious movement. The other thing is that I'm not even consider going into crouched or prone on top of that. So interesting choices, I think. Well, so far. Yeah, and then I think when I get to the advanced game rules, there are more movement options, more movement point expenditure options, etc. So very interesting. Do I like the game? I shouldn't even need to address that, since so I knew nothing about this game so I knew absolutely nothing about this game other than the iconic cover here, which I always thought was a tiny bit cheesy looking, but it's still very distinctive. Very distinctive box cover, and I was told or picked up at somewhere along the way that it was really, really complex. But now, of course, I've seen a bit of the spirit of the design, and it's interesting how many similarities there are between this game from way back in, I think, 1984. How many similarities there are between this game and the rules that I was putting together for myself, Troops in Contact. There are some interesting similarities, which in this case make me quite open to finding enjoyment in this game. Definitely, I think it's going to be really worth it for me in this game to go on to the advanced rules. I'm going to play the basic game a few more, but I'm only playing. I don't see myself playing the basic game as a standalone game, which I guess some people do, which I can actually see. But I think what I'm looking for is going to be in the advanced rules. The wide variety of actions soldiers can take, the weapons variations, the variations in the weapon systems. Yeah.